Uh, Good evening, students. Welcome to today's webinar. This is, as you know, of the series of career guidance programs that are being hosted by the Rotary Bangalore Cantonment. Thank you so much for being there. As you know, it pans out over 10 days, cutting across 2 weeks. So today we start week 2. And as I had already indicated to you, we have a learning packed week. And let me quickly give you a gist before I hand over to Mithun. Just a second. Yeah, so this is what we have for you for week 2. So as stated to you, today we have an unusual profession which is gaining a lot of importance, which will get discussed. So Jitaksh is here to give us an overview of that. Tomorrow we have Ramya Venkatraman. Ramya is an IITian come from IAM who found her true calling in being an entrepreneur. So she is going to spend some time talking to you about that. Then we have Ravi. Ravi is from IIT Delhi, who is an expert in data analytics, modeling, and so on, who will spend some time talking to you about innovation, followed by a talk by one of the seasoned trainers, a life skill program head, who will speak on goal setting. And we conclude with interpretation of your psychometric reports, which would have been shared with you by then. And basically, the final session will be to help you to interpret your own reports. So as you will see, we have a great line of speakers, great topics, and therefore we look forward to seeing you every day at 4 p.m. With this, I will hand over to Mithun. Mithun, can you please introduce Jitaksh to the students?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Mithun.
Yeah. Should we wait for some more time? There are only 15 participants. Suman, what should we do?
It's already 4. It's going to be 4:10, right?
Yeah. 4:08.
Are you okay, Jitaksh? Like Mithun is saying, we wait for a minute or two?
Yeah, sure, no problem. That should be fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've already put the message in the group. Yeah, we have 2 more who have joined.
I think we'll start, Suman, let the others join over the time.
Sure, Mithun.
Yeah. Good afternoon, students. Good afternoon, Jitaksh. Welcome to this conducted by Rotary Bangalore Cantonment for with regard to the new age careers that we are giving a guidance to all the students who are part of our RBC programs. So, just students, today's topic, as you understand, is sports management, which is one of the hot topic which is going on right now because of a lot of these Premier Leagues, IPLs, Kabaddi Premier Leagues, hockey, and football. So all these things are one of the sports is one of the active area that is happening in India right now, where a lot of students, a lot of current generation is going into that field, which gives a lot of opportunity for the students who are not able to become sportsmen, but definitely can be a support activities. So can be part of support activities in respect of these activities that happens all around the country, all around the globe. So you are not restricting yourself to only India; it can be even abroad. So today's speaker whom we have today is one of such examples to you, who has been kind of born and brought up in India till his initial start of the age of the careers, and then gone on to various countries to represent various sporting bodies, sporting franchises, and then now heading something in Bangalore as well. So I'll just give you a brief of Mr. Jitaksh Patil, who's with us to speak about his experiences and the career that is being pursued by him. He's an engineer by profession who's done his engineering from Vishwesvaraya Technology University, Belagavi, in the field of electronic communications, which was almost 10 years back. And he started his career as a normal E&C engineer in the field of software and worked for 3 years in Tech Mahindra. And after that, he moved on to finish his Master of Business in Sports Management. That is when probably I felt he would have got his calling in the field. And then he went on to various places by doing internships and part of various sporting bodies. One of such was one of the IPL team, Rising Pune Super Giant, which was in the year 2017. He was part of that as a community development coordinator as an intern. Further, then he went on to Australia as one of the event related operation coordinator in King Performance Events Melbourne, where he had part of the part of the organization. He conducted various volunteerships and various events that he was part of it. And also, if you look at it, recent the cricket match is going on in Brisbane. Similar grounds also he was part of the monitoring activities there. So apart from that, he was part of Decathlon Australia, Decathlon Singapore. He was working as a team leaders in the last 2 3 years. Now currently he is a business development head of OTB Sports Bengaluru, and he does brand building, he does marketing management, various kind of activities in this organization. So let's hear more from Jitaksh Patil and understand what exactly is the sports management and how do we make a career out of it. So over to you, Mr. Jitaksh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithun. Thank you for that introduction. I'll just share something. You guys can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
So, hello everyone. Thanks for this opportunity, Suman, Mithun, and the Rotary Club. It's really wonderful, meeting and sharing my experience with the present, I would say the future of Indian sports or the future of India as well. So basically, coming from a middle class family, I was born and brought up in a village from Belgaum. Did my primary education around Belgaum, Mysore, Davangere, and it's engineering. I actually moved to Bangalore, and since then, Bangalore is my home. So as most of the Indians we do, we do engineering first and we then figure out what to do within our lives. It's kind of that kind of a story. So just to get on with that. So I was always passionate about sports from my childhood, following sports, playing cricket as the religion of India, as we say, there's a cricket as religion. So following that, but the idea of working in sports was, always had it back of my mind, but was not aware of how to do it or whom to approach. So as I continued my career as a software engineer, I had an opportunity to work for British Telecom in UK. And and I'm a close, I mean, I'm not very big fan of Manchester United. So, it was like my dream come true to go and visit Old Trafford, the home of Manchester. And the entry of Manchester, that kind of ignites kind of a spark in me, that I feel that kind of satisfaction just being there. I was wondering and just, got into a talk with someone in the Manchester United staff members is like, what one need to do to, work in stadiums like this or, to pursue in career. And that's when I got to know, there's something called sports management as a continuous, different career other than playing. And after returning, I started my research, like, what is this industry, how we going to pursue it, and so on. And once I knew that, my destination, I figured out like where I want to be and what do I do. Initially, actually, I, tried many companies in India, starting with, how to get into sports. But the information or maybe the awareness was not that much as to present, the present situation. Now we have a lot of information, a lot of websites, a lot of companies who are working in sports. But maybe in the year 2014 or 2015, I think it's comparatively less. And that's when I decided, okay, it's time for me to do masters in sports to enter into sports. And that's why that the flight I took to Melbourne, because Melbourne being the sporting capital of the world, you name a sport and you have it in Melbourne, be it cricket, football, F1, tennis, rugby, bowling, gymnastics, everything. And that's why I thought, okay, this is the maybe right place to be in if I want to pursue a career in my sports. And since then, I never turned back. And till now, I think that's one of the best decisions I've taken in my life. My professional journey, as Mithun already introduced me, has worked as a software engineer with Tech Mahindra and British Telecom for 3 years. And when I started studying sports management in Melbourne, I started volunteering for the events because very early I understood that in Melbourne, in Australia, the way to enter sports is through networks and connects. And it's going to help me through the events. So I just started going to events as a volunteer. We don't have that kind of a culture still in India, maybe into the sports that much, but when it takes to Australia or Europe, the volunteering culture is one of the integral part of sports industry. So, students, people working, just the excitement and the experience of sports, they bring it to people to conduct these events. And that's when I started working as an event coordinator with King Performance Events. And going forward, almost I did close to 15 to 16 events with them as a volunteer. And later on, I took as a volunteer manager role, working across the stadiums, as you know, as the present Indian team is playing, name it MCG, Sydney Cricket Ground, Adelaide Oval, the Gabba in Brisbane. So those are the experiences I gained from, King Performance Events when I was studying and even after my studies for a year. And meanwhile, Decathlon Australia was launching in Melbourne, and that was one of the first stores they were, trying to build. And I involved with the team. I was one of the first recruits of Decathlon Australia in Melbourne, and we started the business in Decathlon Australia. I worked there for 1 year. It was an amazing experience, working for a company from the scratch. Got to learn so many things with the business perspective, with the partnerships, how to, conduct meetings with the vendors and different kind of stuff. And my visa was over in Australia, and I always wanted to come back to India. But meanwhile, I also got an opportunity to work in Singapore from Train Decathlon. So I went to Singapore. I worked there for 3-4 months, and eventually I wanted to return to India. So I decided to come back in the Feb 2020, and luckily for me, after a month, it was COVID and lockdown happened. Else I would have maybe still stuck in Singapore. I don't know. So, but I think that was the timing. I think so. Presently, I'm working as a business head for OTB Sports. So we are a sports facility which is set up in Whitefield in Puri. So we have the events team as well. So we conduct events and we also look after the sports facility. The idea of OTB Sports is we want to build a kind of a community center in Whitefield, which involves all the sporting activities, which is something we have experienced and seen in Australia, which help the community to get involved. And obviously, due to COVID, some of our plans might have been postponed, but still we are working towards the success of it. Going forward, the topic of the day, sports. Uh, as many of us know, till now, I think in India, when it comes to sports, it's either cricket or it's still considered as a hobby. That's the kind of a mindset. But luckily and fortunately, the government is showing some interest in the industry. We are excelling in other sports other than cricket, be it football, being in ISL, or maybe take examples of Saina Nehwal, PV Sindhu getting us, medals in the international event. So the people are getting to know that sports is not just a hobby. It can be a career. It can be a full-time profession. But unfortunately, still I would say, because the awareness among maybe the parents or maybe the aspirants, it's still not that much as compared to the European country or the Western countries. And actually, one of the challenges I faced, the similar reason was like, I decided to move abroad because of the gap between the information which is there in the market and the information which is consumed by, the aspirants in the present era. As we say now, sports is regarded as one of the largest industry globally in terms of employment and revenue. The business of sports is multi-million, dollar industry. It creates a lot of opportunities, and more than that, for me, sports brings people's community cultures together. Be it the World Cups, be it the Commonwealth Games, be it the Olympic Games, the enthusiasm, the spirit, the experience, the learning you go across is something which makes me, feel proud to be part of this wonderful industry. And presently, India is in another one of the top 20 countries when it comes to sports revenue, which is close to $650 million. And as you see the graph here, it's kept on increasing and it's going to go on. So as that's in phase, the next big industry in India, it's going to be the sport. So better ready for it. So if there are aspirants in this, audiences who want to see sports as a career option, then I would say I think you already started your journey. So good luck going towards that. Let me just show you what are the kind of roles and the verticals, something which are come under sports industry. So as you say, there are more than 12 to 13 verticals. Be it development, when it's come to a sports development manager or a sport development officer, or if you're taking care of the business roles, then you have sports agent, athlete agent, sports media, sports journalism, marketing, lawyer, sports agent, the various roles. And in the management roles, then you have all these facilities which is going around, because health and fitness is something which people are very keen on, and maybe that's going to be the way of life going forward. So maybe the fitness or gym manager, the leisure center managers, director, and the education institution manager with sports as a curriculum. So there, we can see there is different. That's one of the things actually. The people presently who don't know where to start, and who already want to have started their journey. There are transferable skills. Do it. See, maybe if you're working as a sales coordinator or you want to do something with a law or something, when if you want to enter a sports industry, it's become sports law, and that's kind of the verticals. So it's every aspect of life. When you add sports to it, it's become a vertical in the sports industry, and that's the reason we say sports has enormous opportunities when it comes to roles, or the work, the segments or the domains which people are interested. One advice I would like to give you at this point is like, say if you want to work in sports and if you want to approach someone for some work experience or some internship, just don't say I can do anything, or I can do anything in sports, because there's nothing called anything. So if no, first you go through what you want to do, you understand, do your research, see you want to be a manager, you want to be a coach, you want to be an admin, or you want to be a data analyst. So just try to define what inspires you, or what makes you, enjoy the work you do. And that's the reason you can approach someone with that particularity. Because when I talk to the CEOs and companies of the sports industry, like one challenge what you want to share with us, the response is same. Is like, I get many applications, I get many things, but everyone says I can do anything. So that's one of thing advice I think you can make a note of, that be specific what you want to do, be specific what you can do and what you want to develop into. It's okay initially that you don't know what are the roles and something, but there are companies, there are platforms. For example, I would like to give an example, a kind of Sport Joe, which is headed by Srinivasan G, who was a former IPL, ISL head. So he created a platform for particular this reason to bridge the gap between the aspirants and the industry. So that's something, if you are interested, you can go through and explore and see what the services or opportunities they are providing meanwhile. And when it comes to the landscapes of Indian sports, everyone knows IPL, ISL, the different Pro Kabaddi League, there are teams. So you have opportunities in all these teams. But the two on the top, the one is Khelo India and SAI. So that's the Sports Authority of India. So these are the two government organizations. And maybe the last 5 years or 6 years, the government has putting a lot of efforts in making sports, as a kind of main integral part of India's development. And these are the government organizations. They are ready to help athletes. They're ready to help someone who want to be a provider, some education institute who want to make sports as a curriculum. So these are the two organizations playing a very important role with the present Indian sports development. And when it comes to the commercial part of it, then you have all the teams which are listed down here. The sum of the teams listed is like IMG, Baseline Venture, Ricky Sports. These are the companies which are the sports consultancies. So these companies make events like IPL, ISL, Pro Kabaddi happen. JSW Sports, you might be aware, which is very famous in Bangalore, who owns the Bangalore FC Football Club and also the Delhi Capitals in IPL. The one on I'm very interested to let you know is like the future of Indian sports doesn't restrict to the cricket, football, or the badminton. The online sports or the e-gaming gonna be the next big thing in India and world. As you know, many of I think you already play the sports as PUBG, which is already banned now, but there are different types of games, the online games which are actually turning into a professional sports. So there is teams of esports teams. So there are different fantasy sports companies like Dream 11, uh, there's My Cricket 11. So these are the companies which have also had the funding of close to $150 million. We can imagine amount of revenue these sports or the games are bringing into the market. So this is the future, which something if you want to keep an eye on. If you are a player, you can be a e-games player, you can be e-games manager, you can be e-games facilitator. So there are different roles going on to go into the future of sports is going to be e-games is also one of the things. And that's pretty much a landscape of Indian sports. I'm happy to take your answers, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Oh, thank you, Jitaksh. That was a wonderful overview. And it's really always exciting for us,
Yeah,
when we touch upon sports.
that's right. Yeah.
So, students, any questions? Please send your questions in chat or unmute yourself and directly ask Jitesh.
Yeah. I'll just add to that before if you guys have a question. There's a big difference between being a sports fan and a sports professional. So you might be saying, I watch all the matches. So you are a kind of a football fan. You say, I will wake up at 3 a.m. I'll watch all the matches, and that doesn't directly qualify to enter into sports. So that's a big difference in there. It is a part of it. So I would say the passion is something which is must in sports industry. So that takes the passion part. It actually takes, but actually, if you want to get into sports industry as a professional, then your attention goes into okay, the teams are playing, what their jersey brand on, how much value the brand is providing to the team, the amount of money they're investing in that team. Then you have ads in between, which are the companies are going on the ads, so where they can generate the revenues. So those are the details which something you keep an eye on if you want to get into sports as a profession rather than as a fan. Because if you say, okay, I follow sports, I know the players, I know the coaching, but when you get on the ground, trust me, it's a lot different than that. Especially when you want to get into sports operation, then you should be ready to get your hands dirty, because there might be an event going around and you are in the background, you are working as an operation of a particular stadium or something, and suddenly the lights goes off and you are in charge, and that the moment, your work or your response or the simultaneous thinking that comes into picture. So it's easy to be a fan, to be frank, and it's a lot more difficult than to be into profession. So there is a learning, and maybe you can think like, I am fan, I can follow sports, and that's why the importance of education, the training or the work experiences come into picture, because there is a theoretical explanation for all this. Like there is sports marketing course, there is a sport athlete representation course, which is and then the sports finance, sports law courses. But putting them into a work culture is where people should look for working for a company as an intern, as a volunteer, as get into kind of experiences, and that's going to help you, to build your career going forward. And that's when your CV or the resume going to stand out, and the applicants which you're going to just apply based on I'm having interest or passions for sports.
Right. And which are some of these institutes that offer such courses in India?
So presently in India, I listed on few, which is there's one in Mumbai called International Institute of Sports Management, so which is founded by Nilesh Kulkarni, a former Indian cricketer. So which is based in Mumbai. They provide good courses, and they also give the work experiences and internship and thing. So if you want to make a note, it's IISM Mumbai. And another one is the Global Institute of Sports Business, GISB Mumbai. So which is again headed by Neil Shah, who had worked in the US for the NBA, and he's come back to India, to start working on the education part of India, because we know that India is the next big market even for sports, and a lot of European countries, the companies, or even the USA country, they want to invest in Indian sports because there's a market of billion people, and nobody know where they can gonna get there. So that's the reason people are looking towards India as a potential market, and they want the professionals. So might be a good marketing, but there might be a difference between sport marketing and marketing. So that's why these institutions play a role, to differentiate what's there in that. Going forward, if you want to see in Bangalore, there is a institution called MBA ESG, which is in Sheshadri Road. So this is one in Bangalore. There is Pune. There's a Symbiosis School of Sports in Pune. And if you go on the Northeast, there's National Sports University in Manipur. So these are some organizations that are really doing wonderful job, especially in last 3 to 4 years. And that is and if you want to get an experience and you want to go abroad, then obviously there are universities across Europe, Australia, USA, Canada, who might pretty much give a lot of importance to sports as a studies and as as a field. I think that's right.
So you join these institutes through some entrance examination, or what is the method of enrollment, and is it after graduation?
So basically, as I said earlier, I wanted to work in sports before my engineering, but I didn't know where to approach, where to go. So that was the reason, what kind of a setback for me, because of the awareness wasn't there, the information wasn't there. But as I said, if you're studying in maybe engineering, or if you're studying in a PUC or any degree college, and if you want to work in sports, there are three different ways of looking into it. First, you directly contact the sports organization as I listed there, to ask for the work experience. It's maybe unpaid in the initial times, but trust me, it's going to help you in a long way. If they like you, if they like your work, that can be turned into a full-time role from the same team. The other one is through the education part of it. So do a bachelor in sports, or you do a master's in sports, maybe it in India or abroad. And let me tell you that there is an abroad, if you want to go for sports, there's no concept of placements. Okay. So it's nothing like the company is going to come you and hire you from university. No. When you are studying, you need to build your network through events, through meeting people, be going to the conferences. So then when you meet people and you tell them that these are the share your profile, share your experiences, share your ambition, what you want to do, and someone likes there. That's how it works. It goes to mode of networking. Something is key when it comes to sports. And other than that, the third would be if you're already working as it's going to start your work, say as in the field of sales or marketing, try to do the best job you can do, because there's always a transferable skills, as we call in sports, which you can imply in sports. So if you are good in various sales, then there is something you can do it for sports sales and sponsorships going forward. So you can it's like simultaneously you have your career in interest you're working, but there's some point of time you feel, okay, I think I want to work in sports industry. You can still switch with those transferable skills which you're gonna help you to continue your career when it comes to sports. Because for example, I was working in IT for 3 years, and you may feel that I think you have wasted 3 years. I would say like no, I got into the culture of working IT, the team leadership work, the teamwork. So these are the transferable skills, which you can take from one domain to into the sports domain if you want to switch. So those are the pathways you can try to get into.
Thanks.
That I have a question. Actually, my younger brother is working plus like probably.
Okay.
He is now doing his strength and conditioning kind of thing which he's doing. Get certified yet, was looking for a certification from Australia, one of their
Right. Sorry, Mithun, I missed you. I missed you there. I missed you.
So what you're saying was
Mithun, you're breaking.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Mithun. Yeah, go on.
What was my younger brother is doing his
Mm-hmm. I
We
think
can't
so.
hear you, Mithun.
Yeah.
Mithun?
no. There's some issue with the network, I guess. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
So what I was saying was my younger brother is doing the strength and fitness conditioning coaching activity. He is now planning through Australia in one of the universities actually.
Okay.
So as health and fitness is one of the key aspects in any sporting requirement.
Right.
He's looking at the career option. Definitely, I know as sports is going to be the next big event, big thing in India.
Yeah.
It would be one of the things which he has chosen. Whether it is very early or it is still the right time. That is something which I was just checking.
Yeah, right. So I think that's a good question. Now the thing is, like, he already made up his mind that's something he gonna work into, or that's gonna be his career. Then definitely it's the right time. I would say it's already started in India when it comes to sports. So it's already maybe 2-3 years down the line. So one thing he needs to look after is like what on the longer term, like does he want to stay back in Australia and work there, or does he want to come to India and pursue his career? Because that's something he needs to make a decision before he want to go abroad and study. Because when it comes to Australia, obviously there are opportunities, but there is a totally equal competition, to be very honest. Because if it is an IT or something, as in abroad or as in foreign, it's easy to get into. But sports is a tough competition, and that's again whole depends on the network or something which he can build during his studies. Not just something try to look for an opportunity once he finishes studies. It starts from the day he lands there. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to come back to India and look it as that as a career as well, then again it's kind of a very interesting career, because there is a number of teams, there's number of leagues, and there's n number of players, and they all need this conditioning, health. It's very part of life. It's essential of a life. So it's going hand in hand when it comes to sports. So there are a lot of opportunities in India as well. So he can be a consultant, or he can work for an organization, or he can be, as a self individual kind of a freelancer who can work with different teams according to different seasons. Because in the thing in Indian sports, you can't say, you work so and so day, 12 months of time at one place, because IPL happens for 3 months, ISL happens for 2 months. So there's different sports leagues in different seasons, So there's always a chance to move and work. Or if you want to go for an organization, then there's a more stable thing, you work for a particular organization based on that. So as per your question, I would say I think the timing is perfect, and it's good to start early because it's blooming, and it's always nice to be part of it. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Will be less.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for students also, it is, see, a lot of things are happening in India, which background actually, like Jitaksh said, everything is happening in the background. You see only a match probably happening. So you
Right.
see all people, all the players, 11 players on the field, or maybe 15 players in a cricket match who are there, are being coached, are being, kind of bred by a different set of people who are maybe their own personal coaches, personal trainers. So for everybody, there is some kind of team which is working on. So it's not that, say, Indian team has one coach. It may be that each individual has some coach or a trainer or a medical trainer. So those kind of things, like Jitaksh mentioned, something which you'll have to be looking at, and maybe definitely a good career.
And there's other aspects, when it comes to performance analyst, the data analysts. So teams run on these things because they need all these inputs before going. They need all this as part of their preparations. So if it's something you are good with numbers, then see data analyst, sports analyst as a career. So that's one option that's definitely going to go ahead. Because now, when it comes to football, the data analyst happening in not only the major leagues, even at the club level. So there's always, you can start with from the scratch. It might be a local club around you, which just walk in and see what they're trying to do. So those are the kind of opportunities you can literally. It can be kind of start off your part time. If you're studying something, and that's something you can look into to get your experience. Just get to awareness of the industry, and as you know, once you enter, you know that there are n number of doors open for you. So it's just about entering the industry through some pathway, and after that, the world is at your feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Media fields, I think, coming along, right? People who are pursuing doctors and medicine and all these things. Yeah, that's one of the major fields that is coming.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Any questions? Maybe, Suman, all the students who are here are more academicians or
Not really. See, today, even women watch a lot of these sports events. And I think, the whole concept has changed from, like a 5-day cricket to a 1-day cricket and, half a day cricket now.
Yeah.
And today you see in badminton, women are the ones who are performing well. So I suppose all of you have a lot of questions crossing your minds. So please feel free, because I'm sure that such questions would have crossed Jitaksh's mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, Suman, no, the women in sports is something gonna be the importance the India should look to, or if they already started looking at. Because my experience in Australia, the women in sports is given such an importance, backed by the organization or government in such a level. I think it's time for India to look into that. Because if you say the gold medals in the Commonwealth or the Olympics or the medals, India is, we are happy to celebrate someone's victory, but we also need to be part of someone's journey. That's very
True.
important when it comes to sports, because you'll have people to celebrate, give awards when you win a medal. But what about the journey they go through, the support, maybe the infrastructure from the government? So these are the essential things which needs India to make it, as a sporting country rather than a cricketing country. So
That's true.
that's
That's
something.
true.
And I
If you see
totally,
these movies, that Mary Com or Dangal or, that Milka Singh and all, So I think the whole idea is to push the non-cricketing sports,
Right. Yeah.
and I think the public has also taken to it very well.
Very right.
But yeah, I mean, cricket
It takes
is,
time. We understand it takes time. So, but it's somewhere has to start, and I hope it's already started. So yeah.
right,
I would say maybe even the parents who are now the current generations will promote the sports for the next generation, I would say.
Yeah.
They would have already gone through all the sports. They would have either become a sportsman which they wanted to aspire to be. So those are probably the fallbacks which will get onto the next level of student.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. That's right.
That's true. So when you said, so when you said, Jitaksh, that you did your internship with the Pune team of IPL,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one is how did you sort of, get into it? And second is when you say you're doing internship, what is the role that you were actually performing?
Okay. So basically, the university I was studying, the Deakin University, so they had a partnership with Rising Supergiant. So presently, they have a partnership with Rajasthan Royals, but that time Rajasthan Royals was not in scene. They had the ban, and Rising Supergiant was in action. So they had a partnership with Rising Supergiant, and in that way, I was one of the two people who were selected from the university to come and work for IPL as an intern. So as an intern, my role was like I was directly reporting to the CEO and the business development manager. And the concept of communities was like through sports, what we can bring back to community, what we can give back to community, or how we want to build different people with different culture together. And during that role, we actually listed out different ideas how we can promote. So I'm not sure if you guys remember or if you're a keen observer during that season of IPL. So the Rising Supergiant Pune, they run a campaign called Saluting the Soldiers, the Indian Army. So that's kind of one of the ideas which actually I prepared a work down and pitched into Rising Pune Supergiant, which they implemented kind of because it's kind of things. It's when it comes to sports, it's not only on the ground performance because a lot of people connect emotionally to the company, the brands and the teams. So, say if someone is, say, if, for example, Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni is doing helping someone through the brands, people are very easily attracted to that. So they use sports as a platform to create awareness about the community development and the community cohesion. And that was the kind of a role I was working when I was with Supergiant. And I've also helped them with the auctions, which goes beyond before the IPL, like which player you want to buy for how much money. So those kind of meetings and strategies. So we work together, and yeah, that was kind of my role during the IPL for Pune.
Thank you, Jitaksh. Students, Shrikant, Kalmesh, Dylan, Shreya, Nikki, Gopi, Anudeep, any questions? Please feel free. Kiran, Umra.
You guys might have questions, but you might want to ask later, or you might get questions same. So I'll just put my email ID here. So feel free to, I'm happy to answer those whenever. And if you want to have a chat, then ask Suman. I think she'll give you my contact. I'm happy to speak to you. So that's my email ID there. So you can make a note. And if someone is interested or you want some kind of information or guidance, I think I'll be happy to help in whatever capability I can.
Thank you so much, Jitaksh. Anyone here who's interested in at least thinking about this as a career? Anyone here? Please raise your hand.
I would have raised my hand probably if I had not got this already. I it a little bit as a player in the KCA, one of the clubs. Not getting enough time to continue for a long time.
Any of you part of any of your college teams, school teams? Everyone is quiet today.
Right.
They are in the ground, Suman, so that's why they are not able to. Sitting here, you are probably studying, and people who are playing sports are there. Yeah, sports management, yes, definitely a lot of opportunities as facts.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, until unless you be a part of it, it's difficult to understand, what kind of roles that gonna be open up. So from outside, it's an industry which is, I think, it's bit covered, right? So it's like, so actually I'm happy that now there are informations or platform which, gonna give you the entry to that. But when I wanted to get into sports, trust me, almost took me a year to just do a research, like where I want to go and do my masters. So that kind of the lack of information was there when a sports management, but presently that's not the situation. So many people, as you said, many parents are, supporting. They want to put their kids into sports. I know they want to see that as a kind of a career and stuff going on. So that's encouraging to see as a from a sports professional. And something which I'm looking forward to is the encouragement for women in sports. That's something I'm very close to my heart because it's something which always fascinated me, the what kind of a difference it can make by seeing or being part of it in Australia. I think that's something gonna be the big thing in India going forward.
Right.
One hour period in probably in the to change, because that is where you are not promoting. So studies are being promoted because you have to get your graduation. Until graduation, you have to be pushed. So that is where I think government is also pushing. Education was one of the fields.
Yeah.
Right to education and all these things are one of the. So that is not their main priority, I would say.
No, that is correct. Because I've seen my son and all, when you're nearing exam time, the sports period is actually used to complete your portions. So,
Yeah.
so that's the emphasis that we give to sports at the school level.
No, but
yes,
definitely
like
have a sports quota actually. That you don't have a normal quota of being a merit quota. You don't have something like that. Sports quota is there.
Yeah.
So you are being given some way, but it's not going to a large extent to some to the end, I would say.
that's true.
I'll share you an interesting story with you guys. So basically, the government of Karnataka, so in their budget, they have a facilitation to provide the athletes who are gonna be the potential players or athletes to represent India or something. So they have a the maybe budget for like to have 5,000 students they can sponsor. The sponsor amount is maybe it starts from 20,000 to close to 1 lakh in that bracket, depending on their performance and what level they are. And the applications they receive is less than 200. So it's not that, and obviously unfortunately they're not advertising it. It's like whoever comes asks, we'll support. So it's us, we lack the awareness of, okay, there's something like that exists, and we fail to approach to get the financial help someone for who then. And then there's the government, they're like, okay, if you ask, we will give, but we won't promote it by ourselves. So that's kind of a situation right now.
Sad. Yeah. There is one question, Jitaksh, from Kalmesh.
The gambling or suggestion. That's an actually very interesting question. So as you have seen, the fantasy sports is been a hot topic, especially this season with the sponsors being Dream 11 and stuff. So it's a very niche line between when it comes to sports betting and the gambling which gonna happen. because there are different rules for these. So if you say the Western countries, it's completely legal. You can bet on sports, you can make money out of it, and obviously you can lose. So it's kind of kind of a trading. It's similar to stocks and markets. So you put your money, you lose or you win based on the outcome. When it comes to the present situation in India, so the rule says that, but there is a line between, because you are not going to bet on the end result. You are betting on the performance of the player, which is not in your hands. That's something you can't control. So it is it's an interesting story, because I feel personally, going forward, India might make the sports betting as legal. It might. So they are thinking towards it, because it's a big, big revenue generation when it comes to the government or the market. So that's something can go ahead as one thing, but it's as a thin line I said between ethics and the business. So it's just the argument is still there in the market. So let's see. We have to wait and see if that's going to be making legal or how it's going to turn out to be.
What is your current company?
So basically, OTB Sports, it's called Out of the Box Sports. So it's a football facility which is there in Hoodie, Whitefield. So presently we have a 5-a-side and 7-a-side football. Sorry? Yeah, so for usual, and we also do events. So we kind of a facilitator. If someone wants to, we do corporate events at a venue, or if someone wants to run different events at their location, so we do run events for them, kind of stuff. And as I said, our the bigger plan or bigger picture is to kind of build a community center in Whitefield, that area. So where you have the access to sports, you have access to food, you have access to so it's kind of one point where people come into, they meet people, they help each other. So it's kind of we also gonna have create platform for someone who bakes at their home, they need a platform to come and sell there on the weekends, kind of a thing. So that's our bigger picture as a company. We want to build as a community around this location. And as we go ahead, based on our first location, maybe we can start opening branches going forward to different cities, or in Bangalore and other parts of Bangalore as well.
Nice, which is very common in the West, especially
Yes.
when they play baseball and so on.
Right. Yeah. And we also going to encourage the parents to we are planning to start some classes with this abacus or genius kids, the puzzle solving and thing. It is not as per our education core curriculum. It's something which is other aspects or something. You don't believe the India holds the record for the fastest cube solved, the world record, and nobody knows it. Okay, we hold a world record in cube solving, which is I think less than 26 seconds or something is the record. So that's kind of a thing gonna help people. I would say kids. I think where people feel okay, they are silent, they don't talk, but there is some maybe the other talents in them which we don't fail to recognize sometimes. So as a OTB, as a company, we want to create a platform where people come and explore themselves and see what the real talent or what they want to do in their lives. So that's something we are our bigger picture, or that's our mission we are working on. But as of now, we started with a sport facility, and we'll see the coming years we're gonna grow it in our missions.
Thank you so much, Jitaksh.
Yeah.
Any other questions, students? Okay, I guess then we'll close here. Jitaksh has also sent his mail ID. So just in case you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to him directly. Thank you everyone for being there. See you all tomorrow at the same time, 4 p.m. to hear Ramya Venkatraman. Have a good day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you, Mithun.
Bye, Jitaksh. Bye, Mithun.